Hi, I'm Michaela Beckler, and I'm a junior here at Ole Miss. I'm double majoring in French and print journalism with a specialization in magazines. I had the pleasure of dining with Mr. Hano last night. He's the CEO of MagPlus, and we talked about everything from New York City to college football to print being dead. I'm just kidding. We just wanted to make sure everyone was awake. But please welcome Mr. Hano.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Michaela, very much. Now I've got to find my way out of here. One moment, please. Oh, I'm right here. There we go. You did it for me. Thank you very much.
If you need any help with the Mac, just call on Bo.
I will. Bo is the man. I know that. So I think you, this morning, I think you're going to hear a few times that it's the early days, right? We are entering the future. And the numbers that you're going to see, the increase in usage, the volumes you're going to see, not now, play. There we go. Okay. In all these spaces are going to just, I think, and I think many of us think, are just going to grow exponentially. Print is not dead. Print is alive and will be alive for a long time to come. The question is, how does content, magazine content, migrate to the digital space? The company that I am CEO of is a competitor to Adobe. We have a plugin to InDesign, which I'll get into in a minute, which helps publishers move their InDesign files from a traditional print to publisher or printer format to tablets and smartphones. In the long run, will moving that magazine, that same issue from print to tablets and smartphones be the future? I don't know. But it was a good place to start. And we think that we have an awful lot to learn from what's going on today about how to drive new users and keep the brands, the whole brand, strong for the future. So mobile devices are the future of computing, and we believe also the future of content consumption. It's funny, a lot of these slides you're going to see are the same slides that many others are using from readily accessible sources, Gartner, Mary Meeker, et cetera. By the end of 2013, there will be almost 6 billion mobile devices used globally. By 2017, there will be more mobile devices in use than people on the planet. Global shipments of smart mobile devices will increase 2.5 times between now and 2017. So we've got 5 years of growth ahead of us in the space, at least. I've been an advocate for content migration from print to digital since before the tablets came out. I was running a division of Bonnier, which had popular science and popular photography, and we had a vision for what we thought content could look like on tablets in particular. And we went ahead and began to build a platform, write the code, build the software to do that migration, and we've been very, very happy with the results of that. A little commercial and what we're all about. MagPlus is the most flexible and efficient digital publishing software platform in the world. We enable publishers, business owners, and content owners of all types to design stunning digital content and distribute it to apps on tablets and smartphones worldwide. Of course, the folks at Adobe would have a little bit of a debate with me on this topic, but they're not here right now, so I will say that we are the most flexible and efficient publishing platform on the planet. We're very, very simple to use. We have the front-end system, which is what the designers use, which is what we call Create and Preview, where you can quickly see the content that you've just designed. And then the back end, where you build the app architecture, and finally Publish, which is our distribution network. So we're also the distributor of this content. We help publishers get into iTunes, Google Play stores, and distribute it. And then truth is, a lot of the gold in this business is probably in the Publish portal. We started in September of 2009 when we at PopSci knew tablets were coming. We did a bunch of R&D around what we thought tablet content migration could look like. That's the video playing on the right. We launched Popular Science on April 4th, 2010, with basically the vision that we had come up with a couple of months earlier. We became an independent company and spun it out of Bonnier In January of 2011, I was the largest customer because we had the biggest brands. And I joined in early 2012 as the CEO, leaving the traditional publishing space. We have over 1,700 apps right now, offices in New York, Stockholm, San Diego, Jacksonville, over 700 clients in 80 countries, 10.5 million app installs to date, and it's over 650,000 users have used a Mag Plus app in the last 30 days. So we've got ourselves in a pretty good space, we think, and we've got some amazing customers. We've PopSci, which obviously was mine, but American Media with Shape, British Journal of Photography, Vogue in Thailand, Reader's Digest uses, Mad Magazine, Bloomberg is great, WebMD's been fantastic, and a lot of Swedish and European brands, particularly in Scandinavia. So why do you need a digital publishing strategy? And basically, it helps enhance the entire brand. Again, print's not going away, but brand enhancement and brand growth is the foundation of long-term viability, in my opinion. It's business progressive. Companies are staying ahead of the technology curve by using apps. It's engaging. Consumers do like it. They don't necessarily like PDF replicas of existing brands, but they love engaging content. It's cost effective. No offense to our publishing friends, but it is less expensive to do printed or digital magazines in some printed magazines. It's easy. Anyone who knows InDesign can use Mag Plus, and it's measurable. App publishing platforms make it relatively easy. iOS makes it very easy to deploy analytics. The one challenge you have in analytics is it's a very fragmented market. You've got a ton of different providers out there. The majority of it right now is Apple and to some degree Android, and we can do measurements with those platforms. So how are people consuming today? Half of the UK owns a mobile device, and a quarter of the internet time is spent on their mobile device. US consumers spend an average of 2 hours and 38 minutes per day on smartphones and tablets. Amazing. 26% of people prefer digital magazines to print. 57% of people say their tablet is their favorite place to consume content. And 33 million consumer-owned tablets in Western Europe in 2012 and rising, as you can imagine. So it's another channel for content distribution, for magazine content. That's my assertion. And it's going to continue to grow. I mean, this only goes through January of 13 when we had 40 billion apps downloaded, and nearly 20 billion of those were downloaded in 12. I'll bet when we get through this year, we're going to see close to 40 billion downloaded in 13 alone. It's a huge, huge number. And customers are downloading more than 800 apps per second at a rate of over 2 billion apps per month in the App Store alone. Huge, huge numbers that just cannot be ignored. And again, some of the same interesting charts, but you can see the growth rate of music in blue versus apps projected in purple through January of 14, according to TechCrunch, growing at an unbelievably rapid rate. And the number of app users in the market versus laptop and desktop users, I mean, the switch happened earlier this year as far as volume is concerned. And what are people doing? Well, 32% games, 18% Facebook. I believe there's Facebook fatigue happening, and I think you're going to see that number decline. 8% entertainment. This is in-app in the blue, and I think you're going to see that grow. Utility, social networking, which is sort of Facebook, news, productivity, other. But in-app is what the point is here, as opposed to browser-based. 80% in-app. App developers have been paid over $11 billion for their sales in the App Store. Half of this in the last 4 quarters, which is $1 billion a quarter. So there's real money to be made, and you guys can make that money. App Store has 575 million credit cards on file. But you're not just competing with other magazines. You're competing with all other media in that space. So you're going to be competing with, Disney's animation, or with games. We saw that was very high, or with television shows. So the key thing here is that we've got to make magazine media as compelling as Disney makes cartoons or as whoever produces Breaking Bad makes Breaking Bad. And we have the brands to do it. There's amazing brand equity in these titles. There's goodwill with consumers and advertisers. And what publishers need to do, in my opinion, is think longer and harder about how we take this trusted, curated content put together by editors who know the market and the audience and deliver it optimized for the device to consumers that want to pay for it. Print is one part of that. Digital magazines is one part of that, I think. And there are an awful lot of other events, email marketing. We can go on, and I'll show a few examples in a moment. So it's got to be customized content for the device. So how do you do it? You start by fully figuring out what it is that your reader wants, what your audience wants. Fully enhanced apps consistently rate higher in iTunes and App Store. Engagement levels increase when interactivity designs is integrated correctly into the property. And each device has both a form and a function that allows it to do a specific job. Build this with this in mind. Think about the tablet. The tablet's very different from a phone. You cannot put the same content out on a tablet that you put out in the phone in the same format. Optimize for the device. You wouldn't put the same printed page in a digest size, Reader's Digest, or the Old Life magazine size. Optimize for the distribution system. And then you can do so many different things when you think about it. So this is an example of PopSci on the go, where the goal of the editor, this is an editorial feature, was to get the consumers to spend more time inside of his well features, his long-form well features. And so he ended up reading the stories and delivering it as part of a package for podcast.
November issue of Popular Science magazine.
And you can read it as well.
How the science of tribology could smooth the way to a better energy system.
The content is there. You've already got it. All you're doing is repurposing it, putting it in a slightly different format, and shipping it out to consumers.
Of mechanical engineering.
We is a Swedish clothing like street cred clothing firm, and they've used the platform to sell product. And they're out there. They've done about 16 different styles of catalog with different clothing styles, and they've decided to be a marketer as content owner. And I think this is a very, very large growing segment of the market. It's an area that, quite frankly, we're going after, and it's a segment that I would urge magazine publishers to think about how to integrate with their advertisers with. Because if you don't, either we're going to go after them or an agency is going to go after them and get it. But it should start with you, because you guys have the consumers and the knowledge of the consumer base to build whatever is right for your audiences inside of your brands. And contrary to popular belief, I believe there is money to be made in this space. The revenue streams some are kind of obvious: single copy sales, subscription sales, SIPs. I think that what Taunton does is absolutely the right place to go. We all have many, many years worth of content in our libraries that can be repurposed and repackaged and resold over and over again to slices of our audience. Weekly editions, The Atlantic is using Mag Plus to do The Atlantic Weekly, which takes trending content from their website and puts it into a little magazine that goes out on Friday nights to give the Atlantic reader more content, inexpensive, quick to do, done in templates, so they can just pop it right in there and push it out. Advertising, and I'll show a few examples. Sponsorship, different from advertising. In-app purchase, which we'll talk about in a minute, and commerce. Again, it's just, there's nothing but growth in the next several years. Global app revenue forecast between now and 17. And what are people doing? 39% of tablet users spent $100 in their tablet in the last 12 months. That's going to rise, just as we've seen the rise of spending on web use. And you've got several of them over $500. And people are willing to pay for content, which is fantastic. Look at the bottom line, US. 62 music, 58 have paid for books, 51 movies, 41% of Americans that have tablets have bought a magazine. 41% TV shows, streaming radio, news. I don't know why everyone's paying for news in Italy, but good for them. And 22% sports. So content is willing to be paid for. And again, all you're going to see is growth. It's an incubator moment. We have a time right now to test and to try and to think about what our customers want and how we can inexpensively but beautifully migrate our content onto tablets and smartphones. And we need to get there quickly, because if we don't, two guys in a garage in Brooklyn or Gothenburg, Sweden are going to figure it out and eat our lunch, which is not going to be fun. So great growth coming in the next several years on the ad revenue side. I want to go back to that. All right, so this is an ad that was done, what we could call Digital Belly Band in Pop Sci and Pop Photo. Kind of riffing off the ad revenue is going to be rising. You have to touch the message to get into the issue. And I would argue ad salespeople need to work with their edit staffs to agree on length of video, size of belly band. In some cases, this creative is being done by the agencies, and in some cases, like this case, in others, it's being done in-house by the brand itself. And one more ad, this came out of Rodale, or Shape. Engagement is the key word here. Email address capture. Now you own it. You own the name. You want to give a prize or some sort of reason to do that, you can do that as well, of course. In-app purchase is going to be an extremely powerful way to make money in the coming years. January 12, 53% of iPhone App Store revenue in the US was attributed to in-app purchase. That number is now 76%. You can see the growth is going to continue. And iPhone store revenue is up 76% and all over the world, 61% in Germany. Look at Japan, look at Hong Kong, 90% is rather extraordinary. Subscription is a key area still today, as I say, contrary to popular belief. So right now, Popular Photography has 40,000 units of paid, ABC audited subscriptions at $14.99 each. 70% net remit, right? Apple keeps 30. So it's a 70% net remit to the publisher for a first-time subscriber. So as a publisher, I'm getting $10, $10.50 a copy, first time. Rate base of that magazine is 350,000, so more than 10% of Pop Photo's audience is reading it on tablets. And more than 10% of the rate base no longer has to be printed and shipped. So we're saving $1 a copy on printing and shipping. It is a part of the brand strategy. It is one example of what one magazine is doing to try to both drive digital subs and save on manufacturing costs. It doesn't mean that print is going away. It means that this is one strategy which we can't walk away from as we see the growth rates happening in tablets, smartphones, and other digital devices. So this is a new channel, not a replacement. It's a new channel. When we did research after launching PopSci and PopPhoto, what we found out was that 95% of those readers were new to the brand. So we're bringing new readers into the brand, 95%. And we did that by doing a merge-purge against our existing subfile and our expires, 95% new to the brand. You've got to be creative with the issues. Find a young person on your staff who loves this stuff and give them an opportunity to play with the tools, whether it's mine or anybody else's, and begin to think about what it could be and how could you do it inexpensively. For the printers out there, is this a way to add value? I listened intently yesterday to the printer panel, but is this a way for printers to help add value? I mean, I know that Brown and Blue Toad or someone, they're all married up, or Donnelly and Blue Toad. This might be one other option for printers to think about in giving their customers added value. Remember what you do well, delivering curated content and focusing on audiences. New York Magazine has done what we think is one of the best jobs out there. They launched with us April of 2013, and what they wanted to do was they saw on their website that the trends were late in the day, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night. People were going to newyorkmag.com to think about what they were going to do this evening and where they were going to have dinner and what shows were in town. And they wanted to marry that with the ability to bring people back into the app time and time again, so they don't just pick it up once on Tuesday morning or Monday, read it, and forget about it. So they bought our SDK, Software Developer Kit, and they, with the Wonder Factory, a great shop in New York, built this. So you have your issue. That's their magazine, fully enhanced. And then they have their website brought into the app as well. So you open it up, web downloads fairly quickly. Go in, you look at a story. Our friend Mark Sanford. But bringing consumers back into the app time and time again adds value to the subscription. And in a minute, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a subscription and maybe a membership into a community that people have opted in to be a part of, which includes a lot of different kinds of content, including printed magazines, digital magazines, behind the curtain web, etc. You get the idea. PopSci did something very similar with Shell Oil, where they sell a fully integrated package that included print ads, website, tablet, a tablet SIP, which was specific to Shell's needs, mobile podcasts, and event sponsorship. These fully integrated packages are not that hard to put together, quite frankly, and sell. Execution is where sometimes we can break down. I think 4 brands are doing an awesome job right now. I think The Atlantic is one. I believe The Economist is doing a great job. Esquire, I think, is doing a fantastic job, and Wired. I mean, if I had to look at 4 that are sort of really ahead, to me, those are the 4. Obviously, Atlantic is a customer of ours. Top right-hand corner is Atlantic Weekly. But they have really moved into a whole lot of different spaces and give the Atlantic audience so many different ways to consume that content, long form, short form, quick hits, etc. The membership model, I think, has legs. No one's really trying it that much. Garden & Gun has the Garden & Gun Club. And I think that's the closest thing I've seen so far to sort of this sort of membership model. For $500, you can have dinner with Dave DiBenedetto, you can get 4 subscriptions to the magazine, you can get invited to special events, you get the issue, of course, you get the digital edition, of course. There are so many other things, so many other elements that a publisher can add to a membership model. Would you be willing to pay $29.99 to get all of this? I'll bet Taunton will figure out a way to make that happen. Multiple ways for consumers to connect, automatic delivery before you see it on TV, exclusive sponsorship. It's all about bundling the content. So this is the incubator moment right now. Try, test, go out, talk to me, talk to anybody, these guys right here. I mean, there's an awful lot of folks out there that have ideas on how to do this quickly and cheaply and beautifully. Test, test, test. But, fail quickly and cheaply, as they say. And learn and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. I spent 30 years as a magazine ad salesperson and a publisher. I moved into the software development world. The first thing I learned is minimum viable product and iterate, iterate, iterate. And I would say the exact same thing is true in the magazine publishing space right now. Get out some minimum viable products. Test, test, try, try, see what your consumers want. Iterate, 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 and find what it is that resonates with your audience, and for God's sake, make them pay for it. Thank you very much.